And like these kids, man, they think they can try you as the parent. And I'm not saying the parent is right. You see what I'm not making excuses for parents. I'm just saying there is a certain level of loyalty you have to give your mother, your father. And when it comes to stepkids, that's the hardest shit in the world because they not yours. And it's very difficult, even though this is not said often, but it needs to be said. It's very difficult to be patient with a disrespectful stepchild. There is a separation that people don't like to talk about, even though the separation can bond into something beautiful. A lot of times it doesn't. So when a stepchild is talking crazy, you really don't have the patience and in some cases, the love to tolerate them. It's not popular to say. Stepkids, as I say on stage, stepkids are the people who live with you and your woman.
But I find it extremely ironic that the last time you saw me, you wanted to be able to call me dad. And I couldn't allow you to call me dad because there's only one dad in your life. And he's a friend of ours.
Come on.
He's a friend of ours. So, again, we as people of color, let us stop being embarrassed about
There's some people that
your wife, how your mother, how your sister, how your daughter will look at things. And when you learn how to communicate a little bit better, then things will happen a little bit better.
There's some people that are saying, oh, you should be ashamed of your mothering skills. You should be ashamed of yourself. This is what I'll say. Let's let it play out. Because the same ones that said to me, I was crazy, I was deranged, we watched it play out. So just like with my son, we'll watch this play out. And I do want to address this though, Shalon. When you say her daddy, then that's when mommy gonna say stop playing, because you know this has been Uncle Sid your whole life. Uncle Sid knew you before you knew you. So for you to say her 3 sons, yes, you're absolutely right. He has 3 sons. He can't claim you as his son because he's always been Uncle Sid, and he knows your daddy very well.
And love that brother. And the irony of all of this is not what is said, but what's left off.
Yes.
See, you're leaving off the fact that the last time we laid eyes on you, your mother got you everything you needed for the newborn baby about 3 years ago. You're forgetting about how I, from Georgia, am talking you through getting your car after we gave you the half of the down payment for it. And you were 31 years of age, 32 years of age at that point. And I'm negotiating the deal with the dealer for you as you sit there. And you have the vehicle you're driving right now because of your mother. These are the things that you're leaving out when you're expressing what you're expressing in reference to your mother. You're not expressing the relationship that you have with your father, where you spoke ill to him, not to mention spoke ill to your mother, but somehow your mother and father and I all have a loving relationship and communicate back and forth because of the love that we have for you. The one thing these individuals, and to the individuals out here that oftentimes speak after they've heard one side of the story, there's an old saying, believe half of what you see and none of what it is that you hear. Please don't take our word for it, but what we will convey is this. Those who are parents and have raised their parents up to being adults.
The children. Raise their children up to being adults.
Right on. Those who are parents that raise their children into adulthood know that there comes a time and a place in which they determine their own decisions, their own path. You can have multiple children that are raised in one house, but they act and they take on different things. Young man, because of the challenges that this young brother has had with mental illness. So we're communicating that out loud to speak to our community, to say, listen, y'all, if we have more public conversations, there will be less private angst.
Come on.
There will be less private issues that we carry on because we're afraid to communicate in front of white folks. I forgot to have my phone to read the last text message that I gave to you, Shalon, where I told you about,
Come on.
don't be that.
I'm sorry to be chuckling. When I hear you, when I hear my son, when I hear you, Shalon, talk about money and stuff, it's like, baby, as I told you when you were younger, I told you as a man, don't let nobody introduce you to me. You know who your mama is.
And when folks speak in reference to calling your seed, sometimes, especially when your seed decided to call things off with you because you didn't move for a 34-year-old, 32-year-old man in the time that he wanted to do, because you as a mother, you as an entertainer, you as an actress, you as a grandmother, you as a wife, allotted the time to see him, but he pushed you away. But then when it's time for him and it doesn't work for you, now it's a problem. Listen, it comes a point in time where when you become a man, when you become a woman, it is your obligation to do for you. To do for you. At 31, brother, 32, I'm sitting there on a conversation at the behest of your mother. Why? For you. Because I love my nephew. And we still love you, Shalom. That's why your mother and your father interact with one another, to let them be aware of what's happening with you. So if you think you're not loved, that's because you're not paying attention. And there are other dynamics that fall into play, in which we completely understand. And for you too, we're going to keep the light on for you.
Here we go again, right? Hi, I'm Shalon. I'm going to jump right into it. I guess the intelligent thing to do when assuming that your son is having a mental episode is to post personal screenshots of text messages that are 3 years old in an attempt to validate a false narrative, as if they are some type of receipt. You also invaded the privacy of my daughter's grandparents by posting your receipts. Neither of you should never speak on mental health again if you thought that that idea was a good one. As a person who lives with mental health issues, let me be the first to educate you that there are individuals who have taken their lives, harmed, and also taken the lives of others for doing the very thing that you so proudly did and your fan base pats you on the back for, which is very telling to how strangers will buy into your toxicity. Picking up the phone to check on your son that you believe is having a mental episode to make sure that he is okay, while also making sure that your granddaughter is safe, is too much to ask, I guess. For those wondering, I have gone to therapy on several different occasions, and that is not something that I will ever be ashamed of. I have even gone to therapy with my mother on several occasions. But for those who know how efficient therapy works, therapy only works when both people are being open. My mother was still in her 15-year-old mentality phase during that time, so I guess I understand why she did not know how to be open with me during our sessions. When a person becomes accustomed to being a victim and others get used to seeing them as one, they live their lives in a state of internalization, meaning you consistently receive another's approach as an attack, constantly putting you under the illusion that you need to always be on the defense, even in situations where there is no actual attack, just an acknowledgement of things already said by you. One should not feel attacked by an acknowledgement of the words that they stand on. You eventually become a passive aggressor. To address the men that had something to say in regards to men don't do what I'm doing, let me be very clear. How I man is none of your business. What and how I feed my family has no place on your plate. For every person that stated I should not have come to the internet, I would just like to ask, what do Club Shay Shay, the articles about my mother and I's relationship, the interviews about our relationship, and Instagram all have in common? Well, if you are competent, the internet. Furthermore, I did not expose my mother, nor did I badmouth my mother. I simply provided context to what was already being said about me, while also explaining why I don't speak to them directly. The reason those that feel negatively about what I said are just having a hard time differentiating between Nikki Parker and Monique. Please stop with the cornball idea that a celebrity can talk about a family member on the internet for years, but God forbid said family member says any one thing, and you all are outside with tiki torches and pitchforks defending not the actual person, but the idea of a person. These people are in an industry that is efficient at making money off of what is pretend. So in essence, you are defending a character. I love my mother, and it took the birth of my daughter to help me begin to understand the value of a mother. I am very proud of my mother, though, and I'm proud of the things that she has accomplished and will go on to accomplish in the future. My mother's bad, man. I watched that woman go from Baltimore to the moon. That drive is also in my daughter's blood. Not only is she still my mother, she's also a part of history, and I would be doing my daughter a disservice by not telling her about who my mother is and was. But since those messages that you posted were used as some type of a receipt to validate your false narrative, I figured I would take some time to gather up my receipts to validate my decision to move forward with my life without my mother in it. I do want to thank you all for listening for the now final time that I will ever address this topic, and I will leave you with my receipts.
A lot of shit pissed me off. Like, we got Monique's son going back and forth with his parents on lives and shit. Writing out his whole dissertation, feeling like he needs to have a whole essay to respond to his parents. It's kind of crazy. Maybe it's just, PR, make sure he doesn't say the wrong thing. Because, when you get up there and freestyle your responses, sometimes it sounds crazy as fuck. Sometimes you say the wrong thing. Sometimes you get a little emotional or whatever. So him writing out all his fucking responses is kind of weird, kind of crazy to me. If you're going to be more relatable to the people or people that you're actually trying to influence, that your mom is a bad actor, bad character, whatever you want to say. You're actually writing out your responses. That seems pretty like generated. It doesn't seem real authentic, when you're just trying to talk to your mom about some stuff, or, you don't have to write out your response. You should have been communicating with her for 30 plus years. Like she said, y'all been, rocking 30 plus years. You just stopped talking to her like 2 years ago. So, it's not like y'all was estranged or anything, but it seems like you need to write out your response when you're talking to your parents. And it just seems kind of weird and you know, not authentic at all. It sounds like you're just trying to pull up some points and make us feel some type of way about Monique and shit. She says she's been taking care of you well into your 30s, and now just recently they stopped doing for you. And since it wasn't on your time, you feeling some type of way. As kids, we get into it, little spats and here disagreements with our parents and stuff, little back and forthsies or whatnot. But it's nothing that you have to go on the internet and talk about. Or go on any interviews or trying to get paid interviews and saying that you got a story to tell about your parents. That's a lot. But we see this happen with Hollywood kids. Hollywood kids feel like they can go on different internet platforms and go do interviews on their parents and stuff like that. It's just weird. It's kind of crazy. And for you to write out all your responses is even more weird because it feels like you have to be PR ready or something like that. I know you're a comedian and you want people to, enjoy your show. But if you took time, like DL Hughley said, if you took time writing your jokes correctly and stuff like that, and having some funny jokes, then you wouldn't even have to be worried about if they're giving you this or giving you that, and her taking care of you and stuff like that, and being there for your daughter and stuff. She's an actor, and she's travels everywhere to do the job. From touring everywhere on her comedy shows to acting, you have to be other places besides where you live at. People rarely live where they're acting at. But it is what it is. Signs of acceptance and we ain't having it. Stop responding to your parents through fucking lies and stuff when y'all can easily communicate and everybody has each other's number. Shit is crazy to me. But signs of acceptance, we ain't having it. Like, comment, subscribe.